I think everybody knows that the industry is facing so many challenges at the moment in different ways, and we can tick them off and basically say that it's recruitment is an issue, retention is an issue, young people coming into the industry, the tax burden, rising costs, etc., etc. Yeah, to be honest, there's loads, and it's not. And by the way, I think it's very important to remember this. I think all of those they're not exclusive to the salon industry. I've got, as I'm sure you have, shot lots of friends in business in different areas and whatever, and pretty much every conversation I have is the same in that same situation. So, but I think for me, what isn't being talked about and what I really want to bring to the conversation. I mean, with the development of Floomly and all the different things, I haven't been as active on social media and things like that and everything else for the last couple of years because we've been so busy. But I keep connected. I'm very connected both with our customers when we're doing seminars and so on, but also I've always made it my job to make sure I know what's happening, and I think it's one of the things that's kept us at the top of our game for over 30 years. So and as I've been listening and aware and everything else, I've been getting a bit concerned, if I'm honest, and that concern has sort of prompted me to sort of think to myself, and I mean, anybody who knows me knows that I'm not arrogant. I don't mean it in an arrogant way, but it just maybe prompted me to think, I think I need to get back out there and start and add my voice to the conversation again. And the reason why is because all of these issues that are being discussed and everything else seems to be taking everybody down into a sort of cycle of negativity. And the reason why, this is, by the way, this is just life learning, understanding how we think and operate, is that when you're faced with challenges that you have no control over, yeah, that you have no solutions to, that's when we get depressed, demotivated, fed up, frustrated, etc. It's why we get so frustrated with governments because okay, we can vote, but we don't really have any
And you
control
want
over.
someone to blame. It's always the blame
Yeah,
game as well,
is
isn't it?
exactly, and because you've got no control. Listen, I do it with my football team. I shout at the screen, and my wife says, "Why are you shouting at the screen?" Because you can't. It's not going to change anything. But it's the frustration of not being able to do anything, and so on. And so many of these issues I find are becoming so demotivating for salon owners because I just don't know what to do. What do I do, and so on. And for me, these problems, there is a solution. And I think sometimes the solution is perceived as a problem. It is a problem, but what I'm saying is that one of the problems. Actually, I believe it's the solution to pretty much all of those issues. And I call it the profit elephant. And it's the elephant in the room or the salon that basically is this industry is just not profitable enough. And we've got to stop ignoring that elephant in the room. And we've really, as an industry, got to start to face up to this. Because when you stop and think about it, so the recruitment issue, well, what solves that? Investing money in it. What solves the retention issue? Being able to pay better salaries, better education, motivate people more, etc., etc. All those things. What solves that is investment, is money. You know, handling this new marketing world, still new to so many people, takes investment and money. All of the issues that we're being faced with, rising costs. Well, rising costs shouldn't be an issue if your prices go up in line. Um, I take my hat off, absolutely, I mean this sincerely, to the wonderful people out there in the industry that have been fighting the fight on VAT and everything else. However, actually, a business should be able to afford to pay its VAT. We're tax collectors. If we're relying on the VAT, then there's something wrong in that. And so all of that then comes back to actually we need to be more profitable so the VAT isn't an issue. The rising costs aren't an issue. I can afford to invest in my business in so on. And I actually get something for myself, which motivates me because once I, as a business owner, lose my motivation, then the whole thing goes. So for me, the key is that, all of those issues, to answer your question, all of those issues exist. Actually, I believe there's one. and
Yeah.
it's that we've got to focus on profit.
Amazing. And then the other P is passion. And so your seminars, the amazing UK-wide tour that you're doing at the moment is all about profit and passion. So talk to me a little bit about that balance and why passion is follows profit, or are they weighted? What's the percentage?
Actually, that's a really interesting point. So, first of all, let me explain why it's there. I believe, and I do have enough experience, and over 35 years of working intimately with salons around the world and pretty much most of the major industry leaders. Um, I believe that one of the reasons why we are not focused on profit as an industry, and by the way, again, this isn't just salon industry, it's actually any creative industry. Yeah. The reason why we're not focused on profit is because I think unconsciously, I don't think it's conscious, but unconsciously we fear we will lose our passion if it all becomes about the money and the numbers and so on. That's not what I'm about. I'm about, my creativity and my passion and everything else. And I get that. And I think that's why we're not focused on profit. Um, and so when I look at the successful businesses in this industry, and by the way, I have a core belief that I run my whole life by, and it's if someone's doing it, it can be done. And then, so therefore, there are businesses out there that are profitable right now, yeah, that aren't having staff problems, that are motivated and turning a good profit, etc. So it can be done. Now, when I look at those businesses, they have, and this is what answers the second part of your question there, they have a beautiful balance. And the word is balance between the passion and the profit. But you know what? If you force me to say which comes first, passion. And I actually say profit starts with the heart. Profit starts with the heart because it has to be there. And you have to have both. If you are running a business, and I've seen this perhaps sometimes when people come from the outside into the industry and think, oh, this looks easy. Um, uh, and you're running it purely from a profit point of view, your staff won't stay. You won't, because the passion's not there, the creativity's not there. However, what's more common, of course, is that we're running it purely from a passion, creative point of view. Now, your team will be happy, but it's the salon owner now that eventually, after a period of time, loses their mojo, loses their motivation, and thinks, "Oh, what is the point?" Um, so it starts with the heart, it has to, but ultimately it's the balance between passion and profit. You do not have to sacrifice your passion to have a profitable business.
It's almost raising the value, not just monetary, but like the perception of hairdressing and yeah, the value of it, because so many people love their jobs as hairdressers. And I don't know, they almost, do you think there's a case of like, I love, this is such a great job and industry to be in, and I'm allowed to be creative. Like I feel bad raising my prices, or there's some kind of like,
Oh,
you do work a day in your life.
without question. No,
Yeah.
without question. And it is a wonderful job, and we know that. But it is that feeling of, I don't want to sacrifice that. I don't want to lose that. But
Mm.
I think my message has always been, you do not have to. I don't want you to. Please keep the passion. You have to have that. It starts with the heart, but you can't just have the heart. You can at the beginning, and I think this is what happens as well. When particularly a new salon owner, when you start, you can get through the first 2, 3, 4 years with that wonderful passion and energy. But when you're not making any money, it starts to grind you down. And my mission for the last 30 odd years, it's the reason I left L'Oreal was because I could see so many salons that could be so successful or even more successful. Um, if they could just get some of these structures in place, and that's what my mission's been for the last 35 years, is to help salons to keep that passion, to have this. I started my career, if you don't know, I was 16 when I became a hairdresser, and I fell in love with this business at 16 years old, and I'm still in love with it. I turned 64 last week, and I'm still in love with it. But I'm frustrated that so many salon owners, particularly that I speak to, are not enjoying it.
Yeah.
They've lost the mojo, and and it's understandable, by the way. It's been a hell of a few years, but we've got to lift our heads again and rise out of this.
So Alan, how have you kept your passion alive since you were 16 then for hairdressing?
um, I
What's the
love,
formula?
yeah, I just love this industry. I love the people. I love the creativity. I love the fun. I love the social. I love all of those things. And by the way, there's words I always use to describe this industry: energy, fun, creative, passionate, and social. And I think that's actually part of the problem. I think over COVID and everything else, we lost all of those, and it's sort of and without those, it's just a job, and we've got to get those back in different ways. And those are the things that have always kept me motivated. But also, when I was a hairdresser, and I talk about this when I'm talking to salon professionals, that our passion comes from the smile in the mirror. Yeah, that's the secret sauce actually of a hairdresser. We talk about the secret sauce of successful salons, but the secret sauce of a fantastic hairdresser is that smile, that look in the mirror when you know you've done the person in your chair loves what you've done. That is the best thing. When I left hairdressing, I went to L'Oreal, and my smile became the salon owner or the salon professionals that I was teaching.
Your new client, yeah.
Yeah, saying, oh, yeah, my business has changed, it's grown, we're more successful. Um, or selling in a product range to a customer and them going, I love it, it's brilliant, it's really working for us. And then when I left L'Oreal, my customer is still the salon owner and the salon professional. But as I see them, I literally see their faces in the audience sometimes, which is why I want to get back out on the road with the tour and stop doing these Zooms, not this one, of course, but etc. Because to see people's faces in an audience when they get it is the same as when I used to be a hairdresser, and that's why my passion's still there.
Love that. So let's talk a little bit about the tours. So if I'm an attendee coming, without giving too much away, as I know you don't want to spill the secret sauce without people being there. And what are the 3 things that you will learn on the tour?
3 things you want me to talk about? Okay, I mean, there's I'm very good at packing a lot of information into a small amount of time. I mean, it's a day, and and if you speak to any of the people that have been on the first 2 days, they'll tell you that. Um, but I think for me, the first step is for bearing in mind it's aimed at salon owners and managers. That's where it's aimed. Is to help the salon owner and manager to rediscover their passion, um, and motivation, because I hear it all the time. I've lost my mojo. Etc. etc. Lost my motivation, and it's, I say, understandable. But I feel that a lot of the resources that I'm seeing on some of the Facebook groups, things like that, and whatever, they're not particularly helping. They're making it worse. It's almost like a group of people coming together and having a good old moan.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I get, and we need to do.
Yeah.
I call it the pub and the office. You sit in the pub and have a moan, then get in the office and decide what you're going to do about it. And I suppose the passionate profit seminars are the office. Come there, and I will start. But I promise you, by giving you that motivation back and there's an element of kick up the arse. I'll be honest, but I feel people agree that they need it a little bit. The other one, though, let's be a bit more practical. We have a step-by-step profit strategy that has worked for many years with some of the biggest names in the industry. I adapt it constantly depending on the situation and what's happening in the world. But effectively, that strategy is tried and tested, and it works. And I will take you through that strategy. In other words, first of all, yes, let's get the motivation, and come on. If it's you, Charlotte, you're saying, come on, Charlotte, get your shit together and let's get out there and sort this out. But then there's the next thing. But what do I do?
Yeah.
Here you go. Here's a plan. Here's a strategy for you to follow. The third thing I would say is
And
that all of
Alan,
that's great, but you've got to get your team on board. And
yeah.
that's where we will talk about leadership.
Interesting. So do people get like a pack to take away with them? Is it like kind of all online materials, the step by step? What kind of
Online
format
materials, when you go, there's a link, you get everything there, to help you through with that. Yeah, absolutely.
So
but
it's
just to just say that third thing, that leadership is sort of comes on the back of that we've really got to get the leadership moving, and change the way we're leading in a changing world with changing people.
and when people are coming away from your seminar, if there's one thing that you want them to do afterwards, is it to raise their prices? Would you say that is, and undoubtedly, does everyone need to raise their prices in the industry?
Okay, pricing, and we talk about this on the day.
Isn't profit, is it actually?
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
but pricing um, is specifically individual, and I get very frustrated with this as well. So when you look at, if someone's going to look at increasing their price, so people say to me, "Should I put my prices up?" I say, "I don't know," and they sort of go, "Well, I thought you're the person to tell me." I said, "No, I can't tell you that until I see your business. I need to know first of all the numbers. Now, what are your numbers? What do you need to be putting in your till?" And very briefly, without giving, as you say, without giving everything away, I mean, this isn't, I've written books and articles about it all the time, but I start by saying, you've got to start by saying, how much profit do I want? How much profit do I need from my business? I say there's three things. The first thing is, how much do you want? That's for you. How much do you need? That's to reinvest in your business. And then finally, how much do you need to reinvest in you? Because money makes money. And people that have made money in this industry, they've used their salon business to invest in themselves in other ways. And so when you make that decision, you end up with an amount, let's say 50,000. I'm just plucking that out of the air. Yeah. So 50,000, 100,000, whatever it is. You say, that's what I need and want. Yeah. Right. Then you work backwards from that and say, well, in order to generate that much income, that much profit, I need to be putting this much in my till. And then you go, well, how the hell am I going to do that? And from that, you start making decisions. And those decisions will be, well, how many staff do I need? What do my prices need to be? Etc. And all of these decisions come from that one point when you work it this way. But of course, most people aren't working that way. They're working it this way. I always say, profit isn't a result. People see profit as a result. No, profit is an action. Yeah, when you see profit as a result, you run your business, and hopefully there's some profit there at the end. When you do it the way I teach it, which is to say, no, profit is an action. You start by saying, my action is to create this much profit. What then do I have to do to make that happen? And so people say, oh, should I open Sundays? I don't know. They ask me, and my response is always, I don't know. And they look at me like nuts, and I say, I don't know, because until I know your business, now, I can't tell you what to do. So, in terms of should everybody increase their prices, I can't say that. Does the industry need to have the balls to do this? Absolutely. We missed a window, and I was really scared that we would miss it, and we did. There was a window of opportunity, and that window of opportunity was immediately post COVID. If you'd have told me before all this happened, all those, if you'd come talk to me 7 years ago and said everything is going to shut, everything is going to shut down, but one of the services that is going to be missed more than anything is
Yeah.
hair and beauty, I would have said, well, look, I'm very passionate about this industry, but I can't quite see that. Well, that would have been wrong. We all know, yeah,
Yeah.
and and as I said, what was missed was that when those clients came back to the salon, maybe they'd managed to do their highlights not very well, or cut their fringe, or whatever, etc., etc. Of course, they wanted a professional to do their hair, but I promise you, and anybody who's listening to this knows this, what they said when they walked through the door was, "I've missed you." They didn't say, "I've missed having my hair cut." They said, "I've missed you," and that is the essence of this business, this industry. And it's also the essence of pricing, high pricing. When any service is priced at a higher level, we're not talking about the function. I can go to two restaurants, and they both serve perfectly good food. One will be twice the price. Why? The attitude, the service. I enjoy going there more. It's that. And when those clients came back to us, they said, "Oh, I missed you," and there was this wonderful moment where we could have capitalized
Yeah.
on this understanding that actually you're not just a hairdresser,
And
and so on.
instead, we bent over backwards as an industry,
Absolutely.
opened crazy hours, but for the same amount of money. And yeah, we didn't value ourselves enough as
And
an
right
institution.
at the very heart of any creative, by the way, not just hairdressers and salon and beauty therapists and so on. It's at the heart of most creatives. It's that valuing what
Yeah.
we do and what we bring.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because any creative brings a part of themselves. If you, maybe I'm wrong, but if you're an accountant, you go to work, you count the numbers, you go home. There's not your heart and soul in it, and perhaps in the same way. I'm going to have lots of negative responses from accountants now. Um, but basically, your heart and soul may not be in it in the same way. But any creative, whether someone's creating a website for you or anything, you put a bit of you in it. And when a client left my chair, there was a bit of me there. And that's what makes it so personal. And we think we're friends with these people. We think we have this personal relationship. And actually, funny enough, I think COVID also there was an opportunity to realize actually no, because there were some really good clients that you thought were wonderful and personal to you who were horrible to you.
Yeah. I need
You know,
that.
yeah,
I
but
need
were
it
really,
now.
yeah, absolutely. In fact, asking you to break the law.
Yeah.
And so on. And I saw messages, well, I'm not coming back to you again after lockdown and things like that.
Yeah.
These people that we've bent over backwards for. And you know what? Some are, of course, but in general, your customers aren't your friends. They're lovely people, but they're not your friends. And you have a service that you offer right across the board, everything you offer, not just what you do with your scissors or tint brush or waxing or whatever, but you bring something. We know that. Every single person in this industry knows that. And that's what we've got to value. Because when you value that, you can go, okay, you know what? I'm worth what I charge. But it's when you think, oh, but someone else is charging this for a haircut down the road. So how can I justify? That's not what you're selling. And that's not what you're pricing. So yes, we've got to have the balls to do it. And it's a simple fact. If prices go up and sorry, if costs go up and prices don't, you don't have to be an economist to work that one out. It's not even a choice, and so on. And one quick little thing on this, which is something I say to my audience all the time, right? And so, whoever's listening to this, do this with me now. If you were to put a fairly dramatic price rise in, and by fairly, I don't mean ridiculous, but I don't mean pennies. If you were to put a fairly dramatic price rise in, I know that the moment you think about doing that, right, you are immediately thinking of the clients that are going to be unhappy about it. Yeah, you've got those in your mind right now. If you're listening to me now, you now know. In fact, you know their names. You know exactly who they are, the people that are going to be unhappy and are going to complain about it. Am I
Yeah.
right? That's how few there are. You know their names.
Yeah.
Yes, there will be a few, but that's how few there are. You can immediately think of them. Stop running your business for the few.
Yeah. So true. Um, and talk to me about, I want to know about the format of the seminars. Like, is it an intimate audience? Is there opportunities to ask questions? Is the kind of group work? Is it more kind of lecture kind of series? What's it look like?
All of anything I ever do is very much, for me, a performance, if you like. I'm putting on a show, and within that, it's very much me delivering. There's always opportunity for questions, though. I would want that and encourage that. Um, I don't do too much group work sometimes, but not on this particular course and whatever. It depends what I'm doing. I find that people actually don't really like that too much sometimes. They kind of do, but they just, I think in my audience, I guess it depends on whether you're able to. I'm able to. I can stand there all day, as you know, and just talk. But basically, so it tends to be more like that. However, there's one really cool thing we're doing on the Passion Profit seminar. There's a point in the seminar where I talk about the journey that successful businesses and successful people take, and that it's always a journey. There's a very successful American leadership speaker called John Maxwell, And I heard him say this once, and I absolutely love it. He said that sometimes people come up to him and say, "I want to do what you do." You know, he said, "I want to travel the world and stand on stages and do what you do." And he says, "Great, that's fabulous. But just a word, before you do what I do, you have to do what I did." Isn't that brilliant? I love that. And so many people today want to be this, want to be that, want to be, but
Yeah.
don't want to do the did. And so, having talked about that, I then each venue we have someone that I actually invite up, and we do a sort of half hour, 40-minute interview like this. But I'm you, and I'm basically getting them to tell their journey and their story, because of course nobody's journey and story is without its ups and downs, and I think it's motivating for people. We had Val Hale in Cork, very well respected there. We had Alan Edwards in Glasgow, and so on. We've very excited. We've got Ben Brown coming to Dartford, so really looking forward to that. So that's really nice because it gives a different feel. And also because Floomly are sponsoring it, Floomly are buying us lunch, so we've actually got a nice
Yay.
lunch as well. So
Thank you, Floomly. Amazing. And so you've already done Cork and Glasgow, as you've mentioned, and the next dates are Harrogate on the 24th, and then Dartford
yes,
Crossing on the 26th of June.
yeah.
And then it starts again in September, the tour.
Yeah, we're taking a little summer break, but
Summer.
we chose the Dartford one as well because we've tried to choose venues that, so we can't go to everywhere, but to Dartford Dartford, there you can come in from Essex, you can come in from Kent, you can come in from East London quite easily, great parking, things like that. Harrogate obviously is a central area, it's why the conference centre is there and everything else, and that works. So we tried to choose places where you're never going to be more than an hour or so away, rather than in the past we've always expected people to come to us. We're in London, come to London, do it, and
Yeah,
it's like, look, it's time to get people away from these bloody screens.
yeah.
I understood at the beginning, but let's get into an audience where you connect with other people, and I can see you, and you can see me, and we can really get it. And that's why we're doing it.
Yeah, and I guess it gives the opportunity to be around like-minded salon owners, which
Absolutely.
might not be always possible. Like, you probably don't want to network with the salon down the road because it's a bit awkward. If you do, you do, but
Yeah, and I genuinely think that's one of the things that's missed most from Zoom seminars.
yeah,
You don't have that coffee break. You
yeah.
don't have the coffee break where you chat to someone or you meet someone or whatever. And I think that's one of the biggest things, and we need to get that back.
Amazing. And we will put all of the tour dates and the venues across the UK in the caption
Thank
from
you.
this live. Um, Amazing. Do you know what? We absolutely nailed that timing. I know we Alan
I've
was
had my eye on it too.
Alan was like, you've got to pull the reins in because I could talk all day on this subject because you are passionate about profit. And
I am. I'm passionate about this industry,
yeah,
I and I know that if we can just shift this focus and become more profitable,
yeah.
the problems go away, and we get back to having a fun, creative, passionate, energized, and social business that everybody, all of your team, yourselves, love being in.
Thank you so much, Alan. That's such a wonderful note to end on. Details of the tour will be in the caption, and we'll have links to, you can follow Floomly and you can follow the Fantastic Hairdresser as well from the caption. It's been great to talk to you. Thank you so much
And
for
you,
your
Charlotte, thank you.
words. Have a great rest of your day.
And
Bye,
you,
everyone.
take care. Bye bye.